righty. Anything showing up? Awesome. Hello, everybody. I'm Arnold Manjoli, and this is Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing celebration of Black History Month. And I am so grateful to have some of the most wonderful, talented people in our community with us this evening. So allow me to introduce you to, I'll try to do it in alphabetical order because I think that's proper. James Harkness, who is probably best known presently for Ain't Too Proud. And I said to my partner earlier, he's in Ain't Too Proud, and my partner said, there's been no stage work for a year. He's not in Ain't Too Proud. I said, oh yeah, he is, because Ain't Too Proud is the only show that did a live stream. So in fact, he is currently in Ain't Too Proud, which is wonderful and thrilling. And I could go on with everybody's credits for like a mile, but we want to get to the topic. So I'll just be very brief on this. Valarie Pettiford, Tony nominee for FOSSE, and 2 television shows currently, because why have one when you can have 2? That's always been my philosophy. So that would be Discovery of Witches and the family business. I was confused that with the Len Carrier thing. So television star, Broadway star, so thrilled to have you with us. Also holds a dear place in my heart since the last century, shall we say. And the very wonderful, dynamic and rising star, Grace Porter, is also with us. Grace graduated from the NYU grad program, widely acclaimed as one of the finest acting programs in the country. And I was pretty blown away by her work and asked her if she would join us. And I am so grateful that she said yes. She has is currently splashing on the scene with the role of Betty Shabazz, the wife of Malcolm X. Do I have that right, Grace? As in the Godfather of Harlem television series. And just joining us right now, I could not be more thrilled. Hello, beautiful man. Christopher Jackson, who, in addition to a series of television leads and guest spots as long as my arm on every show I love, and I don't even watch much TV, so there's only a few that I love, but he's in every one. The Good Wife, Person of Interest, A Gifted Man, and also Broadway star of many shows since we first met. And my favorite thing, and I just love you so much for making this time with us today, Christopher, is because, you know, today is George Washington's birthday, and Christopher, of course, was the original George Washington in Hamilton. And I mean, if you're going to start a celebration with theater people, is that not the way to do it? Cheers. Toast.
Cheers. Cheers.
So I want to turn it over to these wonderful people, but there's
I'm geeking out right now. I'm geeking out right now.
I'm a little excited.
I'm geeking out right now with James and Christopher. Oh my God. Oh my God. And Grace. Oh my God.
Two or three little housekeeping things. Okay, one is my wonderful Lindsay Bristol, who holds us together here, will be popping in and out and dealing with some of the technological things, as well as the comments, which we'll post on periodically. So just so everybody knows who's watching, we're on StreamYard, and any money that Grateful, Ready, Willing, what do we call it? Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. There it is. Takes in, we want you to contribute to the Actors Fund and to Broadway Cares if you feel so inclined. You don't need to go to a special link. There is one on the page, Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, under the first video there that says contribute to Actors Fund. But Actors Fund, Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS, that's us all taking care of one another. So everyone who appears on anything Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing is donating their time and their energies and their resources. And we only ask in return that you, even if it's $5, you just go to the website for Actors Fund or Broadway Cares and hit a link and give them $5 and say, I had a great time tonight. And that would be wonderful and most appreciated. And hopefully it will come back to you manyfold. So that is the first thing. Because we use StreamYard and we don't go to the upgraded version of it, because we'd rather your money go directly to helping people in our community, your name comes up to us as Facebook user, as you can see on, oh, hi, Lance, as you can see on the comment currently. So if you want us to know your name, there's an instruction for how you could go onto StreamYard and register, or you could just type your name in the front of your comment, and then the guests will know who's talking to them and saying hello. So feel free to re-comment anything you've put there, or to, if you haven't already, or to remember that for the rest of the evening. So those are the two major things. Tonight we are celebrating Black History. Christopher Jackson has another gig in about 15 or 20 minutes, and was kind enough to just say, yeah, I'll be there, which is just, it's that joyful yes energy I love so much. So I'm going to lead a little heavily on Christopher for the first quarter of this, though I invite everybody to, chime in and out.
Christopher.
Hey, what's up, Papa?
Is it just me because I can't hear you?
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Lean
It's a
into the
little
mic.
faint.
Loud. Hold on. I turned my microphone up. That's how we do it. Hey, how's that? Is that better?
It's a little better.
A little
better.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do this right. Hold on. How about there we go.
That was the right button.
Yeah,
that was the dial. So let me throw this open. It's a celebration of Black History Month. Here's what I know as a little white boy from the Bronx, who was a member of the Afro-American Club in my high school, the only white person. And the yearbook picture is something to behold. But here's what I know. I know that for some people, Black History Month is, as Dick Gregory said, why do we only get 1 month? When is White History Month? And they picked the shortest month of the year. So there is that. And then there is the feeling of, on the other hand, taking a moment to assess our time, how many seconds of each day we give to our heritage, to our, ancestral power. I know that Black History Month is celebrated currently in America, in the UK, in Canada, and I think in the Netherlands. I'm not sure if it's celebrated beyond that. I assume it's not necessary to be celebrated in various countries in Africa, but we're talking mostly as Americans here tonight, and we've been through a heck of a 4 years. And I'm just curious, Black History Month, why, what do we need to know about it? How can we celebrate? What can we do?
On the birthday anniversary of Washington, I would say learn the stories the way they happened and not the way someone thought that they should be remembered. Right?
Nice.
The joy of unpacking all that somebody like Washington is for me is that 90% of the things that we ascribe to him, first of all, were never happened at all. Yeah. And I think the most important aspect of that is knowing that these founders were incapable of reaching the ring that was thrown out in front of them. Enlightenment is not something that comes with compromise. Enlightenment means that you have to actually open your eyes, and then you have to walk in that light. You can't write some words down on a page and then go, leave the room and then think that you can own people and conspire to hold on to those souls that you claim to own. There is just there's no compromise about that. And so I take all of that to say, the way that we connect ourselves to Black History Month is by walking in the light of the literal, of the historical record, of the contribution and the fidelity that Black folks have sacrificed and paid their debts, a debt that they didn't owe in this land of ours. Start celebrating by simply pursuing the truth that is already laid bare. It's all written down.
Yep.
It's all there. It always has been there.
Yep.
When we start talking about, the term backlash is a civil rights term, right? It's a term that is derived from the civil rights movement, with the expected resentment that grows when someone is forced to look at something that they didn't really claim but certainly benefited from. So we get to explore these terms of privilege, and we get to explore these the precepts of what Jim Crow and the legacy that we have overcome at every turn. And white folks get to take credit for trying to learn something and then let that shape the way they're thinking. It becomes a difficult thing when we try to know the answer before we can learn the question, right? And this moment that we're in, you know, I'm borrowing this phrase, but in the midst of all of this unrest that was happening, you know, throughout the last year, 18 months, someone said that they were in a class and the instructor had given them a word, and the word was, fear not. This is what the beginning of the end of slavery feels like. And all of the upset that we've been swimming in is just a fraction of what our forebears have already been through.
Yep.
So I don't care what month of the year it is that we get to celebrate.
Yes.
It was a Black man that put in motion Black History Month, and it was he that chose February.
Yeah, Carter. Carter? Can't remember his last name, but yeah, he was the Lance actually put a comment in here that it started as the week to coincide with Frederick Douglass's birthday, but yes. I believe it was actually Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln's birthday, and it was 1927, I think, that it started as Negro History Week, it was called then. And it actually, I've done my research, you know, it actually was considered a really great accomplishment to keep Black history alive as part of American history. And then it was in 1976 that Gerald Ford declared National Black History Month. So yeah, this has been, you know, there's a span of time there. Anyone want to?
And a great opportunity for everyone to dig in and then find a way to continue that quest for information and knowledge, and like a way to change your life and a way to change your way of thinking.
The world is coming to a start, no question. And anybody want to respond to Christopher on that?
I was just going to say, I think that is so true. Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Go, Grace.
No, go, Grace.
Well, I was going to say to that, thank you. Agreeing with you about unapologetically and vigorously seeking the truth that you said is right before us, and as well as acknowledging the work that has been done in the past, as well as the work that needs to continue to happen. And I think with that, we're on the right path to making sure that we're continuing on the torch of what our ancestors laid before us, and acknowledging that, seeing that, sharing that, speaking up about that, and continuing passing that on. But yeah, that's what I was going to add about that truth part, you know.
Yeah. Just reminding us. I mean, my sister and I were having a conversation about all the things that Black folks discovered that we did not know. I mean, it's just awful that I didn't know all these things that Black folks discovered. And I'm like, good God. So yeah, we just got to keep reminding folks and keep that dialogue open. So yes, to both what Grace and Christopher has said. Thank you.
And that dialogue is for all of us, because as you're saying, Valarie, I'm still learning. Right. And we are always learning. And that's something my mom has said to me. She's like, you're never too old to learn. And if you get to a place where you feel like you don't have anything to learn, then that's a sorry place to be.
Yeah.
And we are now living in a time where, as we know right now, they are now, some schools, was it in Utah, where they are allowing students to have the option as to whether or not they want to learn Black history.
Yep.
That is not a way to start off a new leg as we are stepping into a new time after we have just gotten through what we've gone through. To start things off that way is absolutely horrible. And, you know, Christopher, you said that this stuff has always been there. While it's always been there, it hasn't always been available.
Oh, no, it's documented. There's been
but in the sense of like
effort at the hiding.
For the majority of people, like for myself growing up, the information wasn't readily available to me.
Yeah.
To find out the things about Black history. And where I grew up in Texas, they weren't teaching that. And even in Black History Month, they weren't teaching that. No. So, you know, I had to rely on my parents, on my mother specifically. And even her knowledge, what I gained from my mother is her personal experience. But like historical experience, that stuff was denied to a lot of people unless you had the resources within which to get it. But now we live in a time where it is all there.
Yeah.
You have but to look for it. So now we're in a time where if you choose not to look for it, then you are letting people know what it is, who you are. But it is now all available to you to look for, you know, and ask questions. There are people that you can ask if you feel uncertain. There's nothing wrong with asking a question.
Let me ask a question. And Christopher, I know because you're going to have to go soon, I might ask the other three of you this afterwards, but who's the figure who most inspires you? Like in terms of Black history, is there someone who for you is like, this is where I get my muse, or this is what inspires me?
Her name was Ruby York Jackson. She hailed from Philadelphia. She, during World War II, decided to go out west to work in a aircraft plant during the Second World War. She then went to mortuary school, and then she settled in Southern Illinois and met my grandfather, and ultimately, you know, welcomed me into the world as a pillar of the Black community back home. My mom was finishing her teaching degree, and so she raised my sister and I for basically the first 6 years of our lives, you know. Taught me more about the world before I was really out of good and out of Pampers.
They didn't have Pampers then, did they? I guess they did. You're young.
Right.
You're the first person to call me young in a very long time. But she, you know, on the back porch of her house, there were 4 portraits there. There was a portrait of Mary McLeod Bethune, Booker T. Washington, Martin Luther King Jr., and a very, 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 these were large, you know, portraits, and a very small one of Black Jesus. And she had me in 2 churches every Sunday, and steeped me in the world through the lens of preparing me for what she always sort of assessed as, she gave me the building blocks to learn how to navigate in kindergarten. Was a pillar of the community there. Was the one that when a white politician in the area needed something to happen, she was the one to call. When a family had to bury someone and didn't have the money to go get their hair done, that porch was filled with 15, 20 folks getting their hair ironed and pressed, and food was being brought out, and lye soap was being made, and just filled me up before she transitioned out of this world.
Wow.
So when I think about, you know, there luckily she gave interviews to some local students at a community college, and I went back some years ago and I actually was able to read her own words when she remembers when she was visiting family from Arkansas and coming back through that area, she encountered actual folks that had been slaves. Like that, she was a bridge to that generation. And she remembered so much, and she put so much detail into that conversation. I was reading this and I was looking at this through her eyes, and it doesn't surprise me. Of course she would march. Of course she would be an organizer for the NAACP. Of course she would sit me down so that I could see Jesse Jackson give his speech at the Democratic National Convention. Of course she would know all of these people. Of course she would, because her entire life was lived beyond herself and for everyone else.
You know, I'm just going to bear some witness here. Do you remember the very first audition you had for me?
Of course.
Yeah. And I saw all of that soul that you've just described. You brought it into the room, your whole person, everything was there. That's why I fell in love with you. I was just like, wow.
And didn't give me the job, but he gave me a career.
We like that.
I'm gonna tell you something. It is one of those stories that I absolutely love. That man, on a callback, I was a month out of college, and on a callback, I went in there and I crushed it. And he got up from around the table and walked to the middle of the room, his arm around me, walked me out of the room. And in the course of that, and I'm gonna embarrass you, he said, "How old are you?" And he said, "I'm not supposed to ask you this, but how old are you?" I said, "I'm 18." He said, "You've got it, but you're not ready." And proceeded to walk me out of the room. That close to Broadway. I'm so glad it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it didn't happen. Now, I walked out of that room and literally walked over to my next job. Norman Matlock was in the audition after me, and he had been writing the show that was in rehearsal at the John Houseman Studio Theater. And he said, "Hey, hold up, young blood. When I'm done, I'm gonna talk to you." And he walks me over 8 blocks down to 42nd Street. And I walk in and I sang the same song that I just got done singing. And I got my equity card. I booked my first job. So I'm literally saying Arnold gave me my first job. It just wasn't the job that I had auditioned for. But it takes a tremendous amount of insight and a tremendous amount of grace to endow me with, you have what it takes to do this.
Yeah.
But you don't know enough about the world to do it yet. And it takes a tremendous amount of love and empathy to be able to like deliver those words to an 18-year-old who was broke, busted, and disgusted. And still, it was all a part of that plan. I didn't get to the first job if I hadn't walked in that room and not gotten the job that I was auditioning for. So, you know, Arnold, you asked me to climb up the side of Empire State Building. I'll look at you crazy, but I'll do it. You know, that's just the real that is that's faith in motion. That's when you do your job with love and with passion, you endow that to other people.
Well, you're very kind,
and I will forever be grateful for that. I would not be sitting here literally had you not done what you've done, and I'm always happy to tell that story because
thank you.
Wow,
you're very kind. I just, you know, but I was really just trying to resonate that the heartfelt speaking you just did about your grandmother Ruby, that humanity, that beautiful soulful connection that we all seek. That's what we go to the theater for. That's what we're a whole culture absorbed in movies and stories because we want to connect with that humanity beyond our own life experience. You brought that into the room at 18. You know, it's church. Yeah, that's why our souls feel a little empty right now, because we can't be in church. That's one of the churches that we get to go to collectively in society. But we get to partake in that fellowship. So yeah, I believe our work is sacred. There's no question. But this sure is a good stand-in until meantime. So yeah. Well, I gotta go. I gotta get ready for this other thing. Bless you all. Thank you for letting me sit and gab with you for a minute. I'm so
you're the best. Geeking out,
man. So delighted to have you. Thank you, Christopher.
Appreciate y'all. All right. Be good.
Bye, sweetheart.
Bye.
Bye.
I love that, man. All right, you beautiful people. So let's get to it. So what for like Black History Month figures, people who inspire you? I'd like to know more, because I actually go, speaking of church, I actually go to a church where we do celebrate Black History Month, and of course, like most, it's online right now. But every year we celebrate it, and I've learned so much about Black historical figures that I didn't know that was left out of the history books. And I'm just curious for you, in your personal experience as artists, as people, is there a figure in this arc of Black history, which includes tonight, right? We're always making history. Everything we do is making history. So, is there someone who inspires you who you'd like to let us know about?
Well, for me, it's my family. It's my family. It's my family. It's my sister. It's my, God rest their souls, my mom and dad, and my aunts and uncles and cousins. And I come from the greatest stock, and I know they didn't have it easy, but good God, they made a way for me. And they just filled my house with song and music and dance and just a joyous, resounding sound about being proud of who I am and where I'm going, and always striving and never give up and never get in. And I'm getting a little emotional right now because it's been hard. It's just, you get tired. You just get tired of being beaten down. It's like, good God, it's like, what did we do to have have this thrown upon us as a people, and you just get tired, and you just look back to your family and say, oh, you can get through it. You can get through it. You can get through anything, you know, with the love and support. So for me, it's my family, and I celebrate them and lift them up every single day, and thank God for them, and thank God I was brought into that Pettiford, Duncan, Hicks, Evans, all that family history and stuff.
So beautiful. Yeah. I love that. It's so heartfelt. Yeah, exactly what I said to Christopher, I could say to you, Ms. Pettiford. And that would have been right around the same era that you walked into that room and I was like, I love her. Oh my God, I love her. And there it is again. What about you two?
Well, I would say the same thing. This is like this delay of sound. Sorry. My family. My grandparents, Elmo and Esprit. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He passed away last year in February, but he instilled in me the importance of education, the importance of handling your business, the importance of advancing Black education and educating the Black community. And to me, that is something that I take and I run with. Now that I'm getting more involved in learning, and like you said, James, educating myself on the stuff that we weren't really aware of and we weren't taught in school, I think back to him that now that the information is available, it is my responsibility to do the work and understanding and discovering those stories that as an artist, I want to tell. And that I want to have discussions about and unpack and continue fighting for equality and justice. And my grandmother, she is one of my most favorite persons in the world. She was a jazz singer, but also she was an original Rosie the Riveter who went in there and helped with during World War II. But her heart of service, her heart of just loving on people and always loving, putting God first, that is what I carry. So my grandparents have instilled in me just that kind of fierceness, the ferocity of how important it is to be Black and how important it is to continue educating yourself and others. And I am so thankful for them.
Well, I might as well just say it about all of you. Every one of you, I've seen your work up close, and I see your humanity, and it just shows, it radiates. And that's the best acting, isn't it? When your whole person shines through and we can relate. So here again, it just makes perfect sense. James, what are you going to do? You're going to break the trend, or are you going to talk about your family? Either one is totally awesome.
What I have to say, honestly, is I think with Black people, with everybody, but when you're going to speak about Black history, it is always going to go to your family first. I believe that it always goes to family first, regardless of your family's history, because it is your parents, it is your brothers, it is your sisters that take you on that journey that you're on, that is your foundation. Be it good, be it bad, be it indifferent, it is still your foundation. So for me, it is my mother, because she she's such an incredible human being, and I think everyone's mom in one way or another has been through a lot. I always say about my mom that I wish I had this picture that I could show you. I forgot, I'm on my cell phone. I'm using a computer for the first time. I just got a new computer because my old computer died and I couldn't do this on my old computer. So anyway, but what I say about my mom is that before there was a Claire Huxtable, there was my mother. This is a picture of my mom. Oop, can you see? There we go.
Yes.
I can see how you got so good looking.
Like, before Claire Huxtable was rocking anything, my mom was rocking. And my mom was that woman who, when someone would mess with her children, she would put on that outfit or multitudes of outfits like that and march herself right down to our school and go into that principal's office and go into that teacher's office and say, explain to me. because if my children are doing something wrong, then I want to know, and I will take care of it. And if you're doing something wrong, then we're going to take care of that, because no one mistreats my children. Beautiful. My mom put herself, she didn't graduate from high school. I'm correct. She finished 8th grade. Due to her upbringing, my grandfather worked on a plantation. My mom, at the age of 3, 4, 5, was sitting on I seen a picture of this where she was like, not a picture of her specifically, but of what this represents, but sitting on the back of underneath one of the trees in the shade as a baby while her father was out working on a plantation. Wow. That's how close most of us are to slavery. And that's something that people don't realize about Black history, is how close we still are to slavery. Yeah. So that is what my mother comes from. My grandfather, he just worked. And hearing stories about my grandfather and about how intelligent he was, and it was all practical intelligence. It wasn't school knowledge, because there was no schooling for us. So the things that he created, as Black people did, because Black people had to figure out how to make it work, because they weren't going to be given it.
Right.
We weren't considered people. We weren't considered as good as dogs. But Black people made their own, which white people often took credit for. So I come from that type of grandfather who just made things work, figured out how to make things happen in his home, when they didn't have clean fresh water, how to set up a tub on top of the house with a drainage system that would bring fresh water, with something that would, with a filter that would get out the leaves and stuff like that, that would have the fresh water come into the house so that they would have fresh water when they needed it. And that type of resiliency and ingenuity is something that I learned from my mother. We all have that in our family. Yeah. So she, at that young age, having to, I'm telling all my history, but it's because of the resiliency Black of this woman who had to be married at a young age because there was no other option for her. And then once that happened, she put herself through medical school. She got her GED on her own terms, and then she put herself through medical school. She would have graduated top of her class because she was the smartest one in her class. But the person who became top of class was a white woman. And it wasn't because she was smarter than my mother, but they were not going to have a Black woman be the top of the class.
I hear you. And you know, it's so, first of all, I am bowled over, and I don't know why I wouldn't have just expected it, but that each of you has talked about a very personal figure in your personal history as a part of Black history, and the one who most inspires you. And I love that you just said, James, you know, of course we're going to go to family first. That is so beautiful and so magnificent, and brings it home in a way I think that we can all understand and relate to, which I so appreciate. I heard a little, I'm going to mess this up, but the gist of it is there was something on NPR this week. They've been doing a lot on Black history, and I've been listening to it while I've made lame attempts to exercise in the morning. But they had an interview, a clip of an interview with Cicely Tyson, where she talked about somebody saying to her that he objected in her film to the son's role, the actor calling his father daddy. And she said, you know, she was pretty elderly at this interview. She said, what do you call your father? And he said, daddy. And she said, in that moment, she realized, oh my God, he doesn't think we're human. And it wasn't all that long ago, you know, which again, surviving the last 4 years, I don't think any of us have trouble believing that that exists here. But let me ask another question. We're all show business people. We're all theater community people. Is there a figure in show business who particularly inspires you or your work that resonates for you in terms of Black History Month? Somebody that you look at and say, that's the reason I'm here.
I have so many.
Oh, me too.
There's not just one. I mean,
throw some names. Everybody throw names. What do we got?
Actually, interestingly enough, because I was hoping you were going to ask that particular question, because I wrote down a list of people. Because it's like LeVar Burton, Hinton Battle, Jean Anthony Ray, and Jean Anthony Ray is a close one for me. Eartha Robinson, You know, Valarie,
my classmate. Yeah.
I think she's watching actually right now.
I
but
hope she is.
Whether she was or wasn't, Eartha Robinson and Sean Earl, Jimmy Locust, Desmond Richardson, Ben Vereen.
Yeah, for me, Ben Vereen, Paula Kelly, Cheetah Rivera, so many. The list goes on and on, because it's not only dance and song and theater and such, but those are Debbie Allen. Oh my God,
absolutely Debbie Allen.
She opened that door for a lot of us, to play certain roles and stuff like that. Oh my God, yeah, the list goes on and on. What about you, Grace?
I would say, I have a long list too, but my number one is Ethel Waters. She is incredibly inspiring to me, and how she came from absolutely nothing. I read her book, and I'm actually going to read it again, because she came from nothing. She started dancing. She was, got the name Little Mama String Bean, and she started singing, and then she got into television, and she's doing theater and the musicals and singing. And so I just felt like across the board, she was breaking barriers, and she was doing things that wasn't really being seen at the time, but also at the same time, her foundation and what she spoke highly about was her relationship with God, which is so important to me as well. And how being in an industry, but also having a firm foundation and something that you're rooted to, that is tied to your values, your morals, and the life you want to live. I think that she just had a presence about her that was open, and that was constantly trying to break barriers and say something with what she was doing. And I'll never think of seeing the movie Cabin in the Sky and just being completely transformed by her work and who she was as a person, and then eventually becoming an evangelist with Billy Graham. And I was like, okay, and then in taking what she did and continuing that on. So for me, she is hands down, I am just like, wow, Ethel Waters. And nobody really, really, truly knows her story, which is why I'm working on it and I'm writing it. And so that for me, I'm just like, thank you, Ethel, for living your life, living it boldly. And even though the time of the era didn't accept what she was doing, I'm so glad that she continued, because she's incredible to me.
And I think also for me, because, I'm thinking about it, because there's so many people, because I'm so much older than you guys. So I got even a longer list. But my dancing school, Bernice Johnson, the architect, Bernice Johnson, #1, and all the students that were in that school, the ones that either went on to do great things, and the other ones, as far as in the business, as well as the ones who chose not to continue in show business. Michael Peters, he comes from that school. I mean, Lester Wilson, good God. There's just so many, and I thank God for them. For George Faison, oh my God, the master. Shirley Black Brown, oh my God, and yeah. So there's a lot of people that you know, and there's a lot of people that people don't know.
And we lost Douglas Turner Ward this week, which was very sad. He passed away I think yesterday at like 90 something. God bless him. Grace, I got to get you in touch with Terry Burrell. She's got a one-person show about Ethel Waters. You two need to talk.
I've been looking for her.
I
was like, there's a woman show out there. They saw a little snippet of it on Vimeo, because it's nowhere to be found. And I said, this Terry lady, I have to find her. I don't. Thank you.
You will love that Terry lady. And
the Burrell sisters, baby.
Yeah.
I remember something that really struck me was when Simone Manuel won the 7 gold medals for Olympic swimming. I don't know all the different categories of Olympic swimming, but she 2 years ago or something, she did she was a black woman, a young black woman who won a whole bunch of gold medals in swimming. And I saw a post that somebody did with a picture of Dorothy Dandridge, and it said, because Dorothy Dandridge put her toe in the pool and they drained the entire pool before they went on, that's why this is such a big deal. Mm-hmm. And that really drove it home to me. So I bring that up only to say, I'm not just randomly saying, hey, let's talk about show business people because we're in this business. I do feel like traditionally in Black history and in all history, you know, show business people have made such a profound contribution and move forward in what we do. I mean, we just lost Cicely Tyson, and what an incredible life that woman had, and her refusal to play, as she said, to play roles that were degrading in any way, and to look for roles that in Hollywood at that time, a Black woman, that would, she said, first of all, for a woman, that were written with any dignity. And then for a Black woman to be able to play, she had a lot of downtime and a lot of unemployment because she held to a standard. But look at how that changed people's perceptions. I mean, we're, you know, I find show business people are such trailblazers in so many things.
And it's the power of art. It's one of the most powerful ways of expression, I believe, that there is in the world, be that music, song, dance, or whatever. And artists do, they make a profound impact on what people see, because that is, art is how we help interpret the world.
We make, not they, you bringing the temptations to life, you
help interpret the world. And so for those artists like Dorothy Dandridge, like, those stories are so important, because the average person is not going to know, they're not going to know that story. And then the sheer magnitude of that they're going to drain, because a Black person, woman, put her foot, was in a swimming pool, they're going to drain the entire water, clean it out, and then refill it. You know how long it takes you to drain your bathtub? You know what I mean? It's just like the thought of it. They thought we were so disgusting that they were somehow going to get dirty. Going back to my mom, is she went roller skating once when she was a kid, and my sister, I think it was my sister, made her a really cute skating outfit with like the poodle skirt and everything, and, you know, little white collar, and because, you know, Black people, they would sew some clothes, and went roller skating in her cute little outfit, and a white woman touched her collar, and she's like, "Well, I can't believe that's not dirty. It's so cute." As if, because of the color of our skin, it was going to rub off on the clothing. That was the mindset of white people, of what they thought of us.
And so still think of us.
That's the thing, is, you know, I want to say so much has changed, you know, but so much hasn't changed. And let's go to the hard stuff. I mean, for you personally, the Black history of the last maybe 8 months or so, does it, I guess what I want to ask is Black History Month this year significantly different for you than Black History Month last year? And yes, the pandemic and all of that, but I'm talking specifically about the Black Lives Matter movement coming into, you know, really into people's mainstream consciousness now. Does that make it different somehow, or is it part of the same sort of trailblazing that we're talking about?
To me, no, it's not any different. It's, you know what I mean? Well, let me go back and say, I'm of that ilk. Is I don't celebrate Black History Month. I'm Black all the time. You know what I mean? I celebrate Blackness all the time. I don't need a special month. Now, and not to say and put that against anyone that wants to celebrate that, because we do need a celebration, because no one else is celebrating us. It's just like having the, you know, NAACP awards and stuff like that. Why do you have the awards? Well, no one else is celebrating. So we need to celebrate. We need to have that. So I just go like this every time when I hear that, because no, I want to celebrate us all the time. We're incredible people. And that's why I go back to when I started off. I'm just tired. I'm just so freaking tired of having to live this way and being put down and this and having to always fight. It's like, when is it going to be over? I just want it over and done with. And people are people, no matter what color your skin is. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of wonderful to hear someone else say that about Black History Month, because I felt like I was one of the very few people that thought that. I do understand the value of Black History Month.
Yes.
But I wish it wasn't about a month. I wish that our history stood beside everyone else's history, because it's always been there. Even if it hasn't always been available, there are places in this country that would not exist without Black people, because they physically built these buildings. There's so much that is this country, the foundation of this country, because of our ancestors. So our history is part of American history, because we were brought over here to help build America, to build the buildings and to sow the soil.
Yep.
So it should always be there.
Now, Grace, I know you were popping in there for a moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think we are celebrating Black history any differently. I think other races are. And I think that that's what's great, is we're getting more people joining in. I think Lance had mentioned it in the comments, joining in on the celebration and joining in on the fact that we already knew there was excellence. We already knew who our heroes were. We have our heroes, our grandparents, our family, but we knew what we have, we knew what we carry, and we know now that there's even more access to that so that we can educate ourselves. But we're celebrating and we're thriving in it all the time, and we're thankful. And it's like, finally, people are understanding and seeing that so that they can join in and continue to further on past February. So I think that, and I also know that we as people have changed too. So we can't deny that we all haven't changed. I think that, for me, because of, the pandemic and things that have just continuously happened that have been traumatic for all of us universally, globally, that I'm seeing the world very differently in what I want to, how do I want to motivate myself to continue educating. Actually, this year was my first year voting. And so I was really excited to, just challenge myself. I struggle with a learning disability, and the idea of breaking down and unpacking our government system was too big for me to get in the educational system that I was in. So I found myself falling in the cracks of what history and English and stuff. And I just felt so overwhelmed with the idea of, well, the Congress and Senate, and what are they doing? And I just didn't have the time to really break it down the way I need it, the way my brain works. So I challenged myself this year and said, it doesn't matter, Grace. Even if you get confused, go on YouTube and find out how it works. What is it? The School of Rock. I mean, not School of Rock. What is it? You learn
how the bill. Yeah. The Saturday morning thing.
So I was watching that, and I was like, I'm celebrating my neurodiversity, and I'm going to challenge myself, and I'm going to face this head on, and I am going to vote, because I also know the history connected to that. And I've always felt like I knew the fight, but then I wasn't a part of it. So I was holding on to that shame. And so, I'm letting this go. I cannot see what's happening in this world and not put my voice out there. And I want to stand up for people who have learning disabilities, who have ADHD, and who get overwhelmed with too much information or too much reading. And I'm saying, we can do it. Here are some videos. Here are some resources to help our brains. And I'm really excited. So I know I'm approaching just history differently. I'm doing a lot of unpacking, and I'm having a lot more conversations. And I'm like, you know what? I have to. I have to. And I'm not allowing myself to let fear hold me back. And I think that that's the approach, since all of this is just happening and we're in a pandemic. I think that we also have the time now to sit down and really do the digging.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You bring something up there, Grace, that I think is really vital, which is it's really my last question for the group, is or topic to throw out. In terms of Black history, we have our first Black female, Black South Asian vice president like in the White House, and we got through our first Black president, which was extraordinary. And then we got through the last 4 years by some miracle of God. And then we got to now having a Black woman as the vice president of the United States. Like, in terms of what's different about this Black History Month than a year ago. So the last topic I'll throw out to you all just to get your thoughts on is hope.
I have been feeling hope prior to this election being won the way that it has been. This time that we have gone through in quarantine, once like COVID started and quarantine started, and then the succession of things happened that felt like you were suffocating sometimes. But also throughout that, I witnessed, and we all did, the amount of people, and it's kind of piggyback on what Grace was saying, because we had the time, and I found there were more people that were out there speaking and screaming and shouting that didn't look like me. Because we have been screaming and shouting for decades upon decades. And I found a lot of hope in that. That finally there were white people and other versions of white were out there saying, this is no good. This has to stop. And there was a moment in that where I was feeling as grateful as I was feeling about that, and as hopeful as I was feeling about that. I also had a moment where I stopped and went, but why weren't our voices enough? Why does it take white voices to make something real? And that pulled me down for a hot second, more than a hot second. When I found myself back up, I realized for me that we needed the white voices because white voices finally had to be accountable for what their ancestors have done. So it's going to take a white voice to say this has to stop, because that is where it started from. So they're only going to listen to each other. They're going to listen to each other, but I am so proud of people finally accepting what their own history is and saying we need to change. And that has brought me a lot of hope for what the future is going to be.
I love that.
James, that is so beautiful. That is exactly, you just exactly laid out my life right now, what those last year has been like, and getting to that point. Thank you so much for that. That's, I couldn't have said it better. Oh my God. Ditto.
Grace, do you want to add something before I ask you to read our closing remarks?
Yeah, I when I think of hope, and James, you hit the nail on the head. And I want to add to the hope that I see in our industry that I'm starting to feel is happening, especially with the We See You movement that has taken place in the theater community. And I am hopeful that there is now room for more stories to come out. And after, the success of Judas and the Black Messiah coming out, Godfather Harlem, having these stories come out and be shared by Black writers, because I find that to be really important. But to be able to identify and say, thank you for putting this material out here so that we can continue to be educated, so that our eyes are open to the injustices that happen to our Black heroes, and that we can acknowledge that we have a whole system against us, which is why we're looking for our Black leaders and we can't find any, because they've all been assassinated or they've been silenced in a way. And I think that the more we see that, the more people are going to be holding others accountable. And I'm very hopeful for that. And I'm very hopeful to see Broadway, to see the off-Broadway, to see more theaters in the theater community take responsibility for opening those doors for Black artists, writers, directors to sit in those rooms, as well as be invited on the stage as well, and our stories being told.
Beautiful.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
I want to just say one more thing
Yep.
on that, which is going to harken back to what I said earlier. This is, again, going to be a time where the arts are going to show the importance of what this is, and it's going to be the thing that helps open up doors beyond. And I'm 100% there with you, Grace. I am so looking forward to seeing what the arts brings to the table, because the movements are happening. You know, Arnold and I briefly spoke about casting, and that stuff all of those things are finally being talked about. And I'm so proud of people of the theater who have stood up and told the stories as hard as it could be, because we all have a story. I got stories. Valarie, I know you got stories of things that have happened as Black performers in a white industry. And so now we're at the precipice of something new that is not going to mirror what happened in the past. It's going to be a new version of it, but I think it's going to be incredibly powerful, because the eyes of the world are still on our country in this matter. Beautiful. And so it's an incredible time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you all so much. I did ask Grace if she would be kind enough to read a poem by Runette Nia Ebo. That is a poem I just love. I'm very affected by it myself. I first heard it from Reverend Gale at my church during a Black History Month celebration several years ago. I never forgot it. I have not been able to find it online until this year. So Grace, would you do us the honors?
Yes. Lord, Lord, why did you make me Black? Why did you make me someone the world wants to hold back? Black is the color of dirty clothes, the color of grimy hands and feet. Black is the color of darkness, the color of tire-beaten streets. Why did you give me thick lips, a broad nose, and kinky hair? Why did you make me someone who receives the hatred stare? Black is the color of a bruised eye when somebody gets hurt. Black is the color of darkness. Black is the color of dirt. How come my bone structure is so thick? My hips and cheeks are high. How come my eyes are brown and not the color of the daylight sky? Why do people think I'm useless? How come I feel so used? Why do some people see my skin and think I should be abused? Lord, I just don't understand. What is it about my skin? Why do some people want to hate me and not know the person within? Black is what people are listed when others want to keep them away. Black is the color of shadows cast. Black is the end of the day. Lord, you know my own people mistreat me. You know this just isn't right. They don't like my hair or the way I look. They say I'm too dark or too light. Lord, don't you think it's time for you to make a change? Why don't you redo creation and make everyone the same? God answered, why did I make you Black? Why did I make you Black? Get off your knees and look around. Tell me, what do you see? I didn't make you in the image of darkness. I made you in the likeness of me. I made you the color of coal, which is beautiful diamonds are formed. I made you the color of oil, the black gold that keeps people warm. I made you from the rich, dark earth that can grow the food you need. The color is the same as the panther's, known for her beauty and speed. Your color's the same as the black stallion, a majestic animal is he. I didn't make you in the image of darkness. I made you in the likeness of me. All the colors of a heavenly rainbow can be found throughout every nation. And when all those colors were blended well, you became my biggest creation. Your hair is the texture of lamb's wool. Such a humble little creature is he. I am the shepherd who watches them. I am the one who will watch over thee. You are the color of midnight sky. I put the stars glitter in your eye. There's a smile hidden behind your pain. Well, that's the reason why your cheeks are so high. You are the color of dark clouds formed. When I send my strongest weather, I made your lips so full when you kiss the one you love, they will remember. Your stature is strong, your bone structure thick to withstand the burdens of time. The reflection you see in the mirror, baby, the image looking back at you is mine. By Renette Nia Ibo.
Wow.
Thank you, Grace, for such a beautiful reading. Get yourself on YouTube reading that thing and send it to Renette. It's very very beautiful reading. So we're going to wrap up. And anybody feel the need to say anything before we close?
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Whew.
Thank you. I'm just proud to be who I am. I am proud to be a Black woman. I am proud to be a Black woman. And that's all I got to say. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for saying it just that way. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So I just want to thank everyone. Chris Jackson, I love you. I know you're on another meeting right now, but I'm so grateful that you came on Washington's birthday. I know I could have asked him any time and we could have gotten him for the whole session, but I was like, no, it's got to be today. And thank you, beautiful people. In reverse alphabetical order, Grace Porter, Valarie Pettiford, and James Harkness, luminaries of our industry and our community. I'm so grateful for you just saying yes, just your yes energy to come here and to share with us, because building bridges, not walls, but creating community, reaching out to one another, especially in this difficult time, is everything. Again, I want to say to everyone, we do this to support the Actors Fund and Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. So everyone in Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing works for no compensation. We only ask that even if it's $5, even if it's $1, we know times are very hard for people in our industry right now, for many, just toss it over to Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, and may it come back to you a millionfold. Thank you, beautiful people. I'm so grateful to you. Lindsay, I'm going to leave it to you. I know you're off screen, but you'll do the end broadcast thing so I don't mess it up.
Also, can I just do a shout out? Because I'm seeing friends of mine that have been posting stuff. Ellen and Shane and Lance, and just thank you guys for, joining us and appreciating us and appreciating these incredible people. I'm in love with James and Grace right now. I love you too, Lindsay. But Leslie, that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Leslie. You guys are amazing. I'm just honored to be on the same screen with you guys.
Back at you, Grace. My God.
Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. This is our future. It looks really bright. Woo!
All right, we cast our talk well, Lindsay. We're good. Thank you all so much.